Hey guys, I'm Sada.
And I'm Kimmy. And you're listening to People Who Don't Suck.
A podcast introducing you to people we think are rad. And if you don't suck, then you'll think so too.
If you like us, tell your friends.
And if you don't, tell your enemies.
So you're welcome for the introduction. And thanks for tuning in to People Who Don't Suck.
Suck.
Good morning, Sada.
Good morning, Kimmy.
Thanks for tuning in to People Who Don't Suck.
Don't suck. Woo. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. I'm quarantining. How are you?
Thriving in quarantine.
Are you really, though?
Just kidding. It's just like when you wake up in the morning and you open your eyes and you're like, oh, here we are again, another day.
Time is like a blob.
It's a blob. It's just day. I don't know what day it is. It's just day.
Well, thanks you guys for tuning in, and we are here to distract you. So we hope that you enjoy yourselves as much as we do, talking to each other and being in contact with other humans.
Yes, I am actually extremely excited about our guest today. I think we have a lot to learn about her.
So today we have Olive Glass with us, and she is a wonderful friend of mine. I've known her for a couple of years. Sada, I'm so excited for you to meet her and all of you guys listening at home. She is an artist and a model and an ex-porn star. And I mean, I love porn. So I met her and I was like, I need to get to know this bitch.
Yeah, how did you meet her actually?
I met her at a bar, at my best friend's bar. And
really?
I was literally having a beer, and her friend that I dated for a quick minute came up to me and was like, hi. And Olive was on a date with some dude that she was pretending, she had like a fake name going on. So it was like the second I met Olive, I was like,
love her.
Who are these girls and what do they do? Because Summer was a stripper and Olive was doing porn, and she was trying to date in the dating world, and it was a total disaster.
Oh, so yeah, absolutely.
That is how I met my favorite porn star.
Oh my God. So you love porn, Kimmy?
I love porn.
You love it. Well,
girl,
what's your niche?
I love me some porn. I like all of the things that I would never have the actual courage to do in real life.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely like a fantasy thing. For me too.
It's total fantasy. I just admire porn stars so much for giving their bodies to a cause that I will never be able to give my cause to. Like, I love a good gangbang. I love a good DP.
Me too.
For those of you who don't know, that's a double penetration. But some people tell me like maybe you would like it, and bitch, fuck no. I would never in my life do that shit.
Well, this is the thing. Would you like it? Probably yes. I would like it, but I would never do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it would feel amazing, but I don't have the balls to.
I don't know if it'd feel amazing. I think it would probably hurt, but you know.
Yes, it would definitely hurt. The beginning stages are going to hurt, but then it should all open up and everything should be, smooth sailing.
It should just all open up. You'd probably need a lot of lube, girl. I don't know. It's like too many. I can't even handle, like, I'm totally gay right now.
Okay.
So.
But listen, this is why, like, Pornhub is a library of sex, and anything and everything you're looking for, you can find, literally.
There's cuddle porn right now.
Wait. Whoa, my mind is blown right now.
Fetish. Yeah. So people literally don't want to have sex all the time. Sometimes they just want to cuddle. So cuddle porn must be really big right now since, we can't even touch each other. I mean, probably social proximity porn is like a thing right now.
Wait, I'm very confused that cuddle porn is a thing though.
I mean, I guess some people just really don't need sex and really just want to cuddle sometimes. Like, I can feel that.
But is that porn though if you're just cuddling? Doesn't that negate the purpose of porn? Fully clothed and not fucking or kissing.
I mean, if people want to get off on that, all the power to them. I'm super down.
But also, what are you searching that cuddle porn is popping up in your feed? That's what I want to know. Are you into cuddle porn?
I heard about these cuddle parties that happen, apparently. And I was just fascinated, so I started looking up cuddle parties. Like, are there cuddle parties in Los Angeles? Like, can we go to these? And
that's so weird. Kimmy, I'm weirded out by that. because cuddling is way more intimate than sex, I think.
I think so too, in its own ways, totally.
That's the
So do you think it? Do you feel like it's creepy?
fuck? Yeah, because I'm assuming that you're cuddling with someone you've never met before. Mm-hmm. I no, I can't. Yeah.
So you would sooner fuck someone you don't know than cuddle them.
Oh, for sure, like glory hole status.
Yeah, you're totally.
Which, by the way,
yeah.
I'm into glory hole porn as well.
So you're just like playing it Pretty Woman, like I will fuck you, but no kissing type shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've never done that, but I'm just saying, like the cuddle thing, that's to me way more intimate. I mean, and also, I don't know. Literally, I'm going on Pornhub and I'm going to look up cuddle. Would you just put cuddling in it? Like, that's my next venture. All right. Well, I wonder. Wait, I have a question. One more thing on the cuddling thing. Are there like cuddle porn stars? Like, are you just regular people cuddling?
I guess for the next episode, we need to come up with at least one cuddle porn star. I wonder if cuddle porn stars are as vilified as real porn stars.
I doubt it. Well, I mean, do you think a cuddle porn star only does cuddling? Come on. If that's the case, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong business. Because I'll tell you this now. For the right price, I'll cuddle the fuck out of a stranger. Just saying. Okay, so it's more about...
Yes.
Okay, so...
Yes, yep. Queen. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should interview a cuddle porn star.
Is that a thing? Okay, I'm going to do research. I'm going to find out. I'm going to contact one, and we're just going to ask questions because I have questions.
We are going to do a porn star today and a cuddle porn star tomorrow, girl.
Let's find out. But the cuddle party thing, that's fucking weird because you're choosing to do that shit for free. Do you know what I mean?
You need the cuddles. Are you going to judge people that need the cuddles?
With me? Will you cuddle with me?
Girl, yeah. Of course I'd cuddle.
I mean, if I was on Molly, you have to be on Molly. Cuddle puddle all day on fucking Molly.
Everybody's cuddle puddling on Molly.
I mean, fuck yeah. They must be on Molly.
You think that you need to be like drug induced in order to want to?
Yeah. Absolutely 100%. My ass is fucking, eyes are rolling to the back of my head. I don't need to know your name.
Ladies and gentlemen, cuddle porn. Let's look it up.
Featuring Sada Simone. Okay, enough of this bullshit. Olive.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself today. You're a very interesting human that we think people should know. So.
So I grew up in Utah, very conservative, and, fundamentalist Mormon. And then when I was 16, I left home and joined a metal band.
We were totally been friends.
And I traveled around. I mostly hitchhiked and then traveled with this band. I was the drummer.
Whoa.
But I was terrible. Don't get any ideas about cool. How talented I was because I was not. You know how they make fun of Meg White for being a bad drummer? I idolized to become that good. So yeah, then around 18, 19, I decided to go move to Portland, Oregon, and I became a street performer. I was a living statue, and
that's amazing. God. Yeah, I love living statues.
I loved it. It was so fun.
At what point were you like, I'm gonna dress up today and become a?
So I was
statue?
Actually inspired by Amanda Palmer because I listened to the Dresden Dolls a lot. And so I literally just copied off of her, but cool. I did it in my own way. But she was the white woman statue. She dressed all in white and painted herself white and held white flowers. So I just literally did that. I was 18. So whenever anybody would walk by, I would stand really still. And if they tipped me, I'd give them a flower and people would scream. It was really fun.
How long did you do that?
I did that for a little less than a year. So at that time in my life, it felt like a really long time. It got kind of dark. I was, doing living statue stuff at outdoor events, things like that. And to drunk men who think that you can't talk back. That's why I stopped. I was being sexually harassed by men who saw a woman standing there quietly and looked like she was, she was there to be looked at. And
perpetrators.
And I cannot tell you the disgusting things people would say to me while they were walking by. And I was like, you know what? I actually don't need this $50 a week anymore because I wasn't making a lot,
Do you have a memory of something that was said that maybe you've never forgotten?
The reason I quit was
as an example.
A particular experience where I was at an event. This drunk guy came up to me and he started being like, I gave you $1. You have to talk to me. And I was like,
Oh my
I was just
God.
standing there and like
I
hoping
own
people
you.
would like tell him to go away because he was being very loud and very aggressive. And finally he
obnoxious.
didn't. And he started like lunging towards me. Like it was scary. So I got my stuff and I
Wow.
started walking away. He chased me screaming at me, bitch, you have to talk to me. Bitch, I paid you. You owe me.
Oh
And
my!
I would fucking throw his one
I
at him.
was still like a teenager and I did not know.
How to deal with
And
that.
it was
yeah.
around all of these people. And because I looked like a spectacle, nobody was helping me. So that's the thing, like, I think people have to be aware of, because I've talked to kids who are like, I want to do that. And it's like, yes, but you need to be aware that people don't think that you're a real person. They see you as a performance, entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of belong to everyone. You're not an actual human entity.
Right. It's very strange. But it was an overall good experience, except for those minor.
except for the harassment.
Except for
So I want to know what your transition out of your house was, because I also
Yeah.
left home when I was 17, and it was a quite tumultuous scene. So I want to know what it was like, you coming from such an extreme background and kind of getting out of that and rebelling in your own way. Like, what was that
Yeah,
process with your family? And
Were you excommunicated from your family at that point?
So when I was a kid, I grew up in a very Mormon background, and my mom and dad traveled around a lot, but often they would drop me off at my family's ranch, which was like highly Mormon. And I just didn't ever fit in. I didn't believe in like the Christian God. I didn't believe in like Santa Claus. I didn't believe in anything they were telling me. Definitely didn't believe that the men overseeing all of our rights in the church were like somebody I should respect.
wait, where did you get this from? Why didn't you believe? Do you remember when you stopped believing?
I had never started.
Okay.
I was going to ask, was that at a young age that you were like,
You were like,
that doesn't
this
sound
is
right?
not good.
So I
Yeah.
remember when I was 8, they told me like, you know, that's when you get baptized. And they're like, so you need to go pray to God tonight and then ask him if you should get baptized. So I went home and I prayed and I went to bed. I didn't believe in God at this point. And then I had this dream that I got baptized just to make everybody happy. And I was depressed and guilty for the rest of my life. And so I woke up the next morning and I went to the people and I was like, you know, I prayed and I had this dream. And I think God told me like, no, don't do it.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
When you're 8 years old,
what
you're
did
like,
they
this is a problem.
say?
I don't think any child in the community had ever said that before. And they were like, well, I guess we can't waterboard you into being a Mormon. So then when I was 16, my parents wanted me to move to the ranch permanently. They had all these ideas of me marrying into the community, things like that. And they get married very young there.
So you were already old, 16.
Yeah, that was like 3 years later than normal.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So I told them, I didn't mean this at all, but I told them that I would hang myself if they didn't let me leave, which I knew would just like make them scared. And I knew I would never have done that. Then
Yeah.
they were like, okay, cool. Just like go then. And I was like, all right.
Were you surprised, like walking away, like, wow, they're not coming after me?
Oh
they're
no, I
letting
was
me go.
like seeing red. I was so furious. I was like, yeah, I don't think like a charging bull could have stopped me at that point. I was like, I am out of here.
Okay.
And
Yeah, you were like
Yeah.
anything other than this, basically. When
Yeah.
you're that age, you know.
I mean, I just knew it wasn't right for me.
Good for
So I
you.
just dived into what I knew would help me find what I needed, you know, which was
yeah.
joining a metal band and traveling across the U.S.
I would have done the same thing for sure. I
mean-
would have left. I couldn't be held.
I feel
in
like
in
we
that
all
type of
have.
environment.
I feel like we all have rebellious natures.
Right.
All three
Well,
of
what I
us,
love
so.
about my life now is that I've surrounded myself with women who are the same as me, where they won't keep themselves in a situation where they aren't living their true selves.
So what happened after Portland?
So when I was in Portland, after I stopped doing living statue stuff, I started working as a model. I was also working as an artist at that time too. I've been painting and stuff all this entire time. And I started modeling. It was kind of random. Somebody just offered to pay me like $20 and I modeled for them. And then it just kept going and I kept getting booked. And then all of a sudden it was my main job. Then I just kind of slowly started booking things in like different states and then different countries. And then before I knew it, like a few years had passed and I'm living in New York and it's my full-time career. And I started doing, different fashion week events and stuff in New York and Paris. And then I worked as an artist at that time too when I was living in New York. And I was like doing window painting and stuff with a small company.
So all this time you were kind of modeling and doing artistry and stuff like that. How did the concept of nudity evolve for you? Because coming from such a conservative background, I can imagine that was something that was just a no-go, and you were such a rebel, obviously.
Right.
But I feel like you so seamlessly intertwine modeling and like high fashion with nudity, which a lot of people don't do. Did you ever have limitations as far as that, or were you?
Yeah, I've had limitations that have changed over the years. My first photo shoot ever was a nude photo shoot. I didn't even think twice. I had a blast because in my mind, it's not directly linked to sexuality. Like, you know, you can be sexy and nude, or you can be just nude and art stuff. Sure. Yeah, I think that really helped me because when I was growing up, I was afraid to show my shoulders. We weren't allowed to show anything above the knee. We weren't allowed to show our shoulders. Like, I was booked for a nude shoot. I was just like, cool, I get to take off all my clothes and run around in the forest for a couple hours.
Now you get to live your real life as your true self and kind of go against all the things that you've been told that you couldn't do, right? It's like, don't look that way. And then you're like, oh, I can't look that way. But all you really want to do is look in that direction, you know, and eventually if you can,
and then
you
you find out that it's not actually that big of a deal. And it's kind of awesome.
Sure. At that point, when you're in New York and you're working, are you in contact with your family?
So I wasn't in contact with my family.
So you left and you haven't spoken to them?
I hadn't spoken to them. I had spoken to my mom one time since then, and it was a very dramatic fight. And then when I was 24, my mom got cancer. Then that kind of changed everything, where I was a lot more in touch with my family after that. Yeah, and then I moved home to take care of my mom and stuff for a while. Yeah, and then I got really tight with my mom because I feel like she saw that I was on covers of magazines and she's like, wait, what you're doing is actually legit. Because at the time I was also doing fetish content and porn, and she was imagining me in somebody's basement on like a dirty mattress kind of deal. And I was like, that's not what's happening. And then she saw my penthouse, which really changed it for her. And she was like, oh, you have a career. You're like a powerful woman who is in charge of her life. Cool.
Oh my God. She must have just been like so inspired by you. It's touching.
So it changed a lot. We had a mutual respect that we didn't have before. And so that was nice.
The healing comes full circle. It's really interesting to me that I see in so many of my friends and of people in general that I've come across, that people who have experienced like very deep rooted oppression, if and when they come out of it, it's such a liberating feeling, right? That you become so much more free. It's just amazing to watch. Like, you see it all the time in people who come out as gay or lesbian or trans, just how they flourish afterwards. And it's so funny how it's parallel. Like, for you too, you came from such an oppressed environment, and then you kind of like flourished into this amazing person.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you hold yourself to standards where like the community or your society is telling you have to be this way, when you release that, it's like this type of forgiveness that's like not even aimed at one person. It's like just a concept of forgiveness, and all of a sudden you can just be yourself because it's okay.
People take things for granted too, and they don't know that they're taking it for granted. It's like, oh, I've never been able to walk before and now I can. It's like freeing, like you're saying, but also you have a different relationship with that feeling, you know?
I mean, it is always incredibly empowering, like being able to come out and just own yourself.
So now you move back with your mom. What's next? What happens next?
Well, she passed away about 2 years ago. And I was living in LA and kind of juggling. Like, I loved that I was doing adult work at that time because it afforded me the privilege of being able to just go back and do like one shoot and then like take all that money and go back home to my mom. And so I paid some of her hospital bills. I was paying for my rent. Like, it was just, you know, people were like, oh, what do your parents think of it? And I was like, bitch, I was paying for everything at that period of time. And it was, I was very fortunate. People were like, oh my God, you're doing porn. Like, and then going back and taking care of your mom, she must be so disappointed. And I was like, the only reason I can do this is because I'm shooting adult work right now. And like, I'm covering some of her hospital bills, and I'm able to stay with her all the time, except for like one day out of a month when I need to fly back. And, like, do
so
a shoot,
what was your transition like from just doing modeling and artist work into the porn world?
So that was actually in New York. It was a really freeing experience. experience too, because I had been trying so hard to be like the perfect little fashion model and like only do stuff that I think would like make me agency appropriate. And I was doing like fetish work on the side because, as you know, a lot of these fashion girls aren't being paid anything. So I'm trying so hard to succeed in a place where I did not feel like I belonged, but I wanted to so badly. And then I would make my money on the side by doing these like tickling fetish or like weird fun fetishes. And I loved it. And I felt so accepted and it was just fun. And then Trump got elected and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to straight up do porn because there's so many worse things than seeing an empowered woman do whatever she wants with her body.
At this point, when you're doing these fetishes, are you in contact with people, like you're in a community now and you're seeing these women or these people, or you're making friends? Like, are you getting comfortable with this, with
absolutely.
this lifestyle, like on the side where you're like, my toes are wet, I can kind of like get into it? Like,
well, I started making, you know, at all the shoots that I would go to, it was like, you know, I couldn't use my real name and I didn't want to make too many friends kind of deal. But then I was making friends and I was actually like really into the work and I was really into the people I worked with. Like the other models, the crew, like everybody. And they introduced me to other people. So I was working in like all these different studios with really cool people that were just like accepting and had like really amazing backgrounds. And the thing about adult work is that people on the crew and in front of the camera come from like all different backgrounds. It was just really fun. And then when, you know, Trump got elected, I was like, you know what? Why am I acting like I'm ashamed of these people and like this whole lifestyle? It's awesome and I should explore it more. So I moved to LA and that's when I started doing mainstream porn. Yeah, it was really great. And that's around the time, you know, 2017 when I got discovered by Penthouse and that exploded and that became a thing. And then my career just kind of took off from there. It was really fun. And I only did it for 2 years.
Did you mentally have boundaries for yourself of what you would and would not do? Did you have an unwritten contract with yourself before you started?
I actually wrote it down and I showed it to my agents and then I would discuss it with people before I worked with them. So yeah, like I couldn't do dang bangs. And like bukkakis, things like that were just like my limits. And I love and respect the people who do. But that was, you know, just drawing lines and finding what you're comfortable with. Finding what I was comfortable with was like kind of an exploration. I remember at this one shoot I was doing, like this guy was like going down on me and I had never had somebody like nibble on my clit before. So I was like, try that. Maybe I'll like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Turns out
I'm getting angry just thinking about it.
Oh my God. I like punched him in the top of the head and he's like, but you told me to. I'm like, I'm sorry. It was just like an automatic response.
That's amazing.
That was like so horrible. But yeah, it provided me a safe space to explore my sexuality, which I thought was really neat because also coming from, you know, a very conservative background, I had always had a pretty negative relationship with sex and my body and what like my emotions and guilts were tied into my sex life in a way that was really unhealthy. You know, I always felt like I owed the person something. Like that was really just very negative. So after I did porn, I realized like my body is my own and this is an exploration and it's supposed to be fun and freeing and enjoyable. And there doesn't have to be any strings attached. Like you can just go have fun sex and then have that be it. And on top of that, I was getting paid a lot of money and like going to red
Did you
carpets
ever
and
have any doubts before or during the time that you were working in it where you kind of told yourself, I can't do this and this job, or just like the limitations of what society puts on porn stars of what careers you can have afterwards? Like you can't be a teacher, you can't be a politician, you know?
No. So I'm pretty stubborn about things. Like if I want them enough, then I just am determined to find a way to get them. So I knew going into porn that people would be shocked, but it also would give me a platform that some Instagram models don't you know what I mean? Like up until then I was a real model, but being a porn star automatically gives you this enormous platform and you have a voice. You can have a voice internationally, you know, if you need to. And I had a PR guy that was like giving me press releases. And
yeah, because when you were modeling before, you were one in a million.
Everybody in LA is pretty. It's lovely, but it's a dime a dozen. You need something else. And I really wanted to, actually, it's kind of fun. I wanted to start a foundation for sexual assault victims and children from abused homes, things like that. the website is going live today for that. So that gave me a platform
Yay.
to start my foundation, speak my truth to a large audience. And so I knew that it would limit me to some things like teaching probably, but I also don't want to
it
be a
aligned with
teacher.
your
So
own
it's fine.
abilities and your own wishes for yourself. So I think that's the most important, you know?
Yeah. And also, like, I had always been curious. When I was a kid, I remember randomly hearing this interview with Sasha Grey. And I was like 14, and it was just like a little tiny segment of an interview. And then whoever I was with, I think it was a parent, like turned it off really fast.
Well, you're like, wait, what's that? What was that?
But she was like talking about how she had always wanted to have sex on top of a washing machine because it seemed fun.
Oh my God.
And
wow, you never forgot
yeah,
that.
and I remember hearing that and being like, this pretty young woman is so okay with herself that she can just go on the radio and talk about sex like openly. And that inspired me. I was like, that is the most powerful thing. Like, that little tiny thing was so powerful to me that I had always been curious about being a porn
So
star.
I did it. I love it. So I just did it.
Interesting. Well, there you go.
I had sex on a washing machine, by the way. Give that a shot.
And how was that?
It's fine. It wasn't anything to write
Was it
home
on,
about.
or was it on, or was it not
Because she
on?
had specified that she wanted it to be on because of the vibration. So I was like, you know, I've been thinking about that statement for so long. I decided to try it. Turns out it's like sex on a washing machine that's turned on. It's not anything like that special.
It's not specifically amazing.
It's what you
just
think it is.
Sounds like what it
Just
is.
what it is.
So I have a lot of friends that are sex workers and are in the industry, and one of my friends is also a porn star. And what I've noticed for her, and I think people are different. You have a very different personality than she does. She's had a hard time, I feel like, finding love. And I know that you're married now. So what are some of the differences between, okay, so you only did porn for 2 years. So you know the difference between dating before and then dating after. So what were those challenges like for you?
Yeah, so I made a lot of jokes while I was in the industry about how hard it is to date when you're in the industry. It's like impossible. It's beyond. So if you do sex for work and you're trying to date men, which is typically what I was trying to date, they see you as somebody who obviously will give samples. And it's just like,
they don't take you seriously.
oh my God. So I was on Tinder, which was, absolutely horrifying.
God.
So I deleted my Tinder, and then I started another one, and then I was just trying to generally date people. I had people run out of bars screaming about how I had sex with black men. And then he's like freaked out because he's like, oh my God, you have sex with black men. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You fucking get out of my face. Like, I never want to see you.
Racist asshole.
Oh, so bad. And
so weird.
My type changed a lot because I realized, like, by being in the public eye as a sex worker, you brought out men's worst
insecurities,
sides. Or their best sides if they're a really good person. You bring out the insecurities so much. It was wild. I was like a human litmus test for these men.
Oh my God.
And I was like, none of you should ever date again.
My friends, it's like she's still working in the industry, and I feel like all she really wants is to find love.
Right.
And in my head, I'm like, I don't know that you will, because these men are never going to take you seriously.
It's so difficult finding a man that's evolved enough to be okay with the fact.
Evolved.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, because there's the idea that men can have sex with whoever they want, whenever they want, and they're fine. But then there's the idea of women are sluts if, you have sex with more than, 3 guys or whatever. You have to find a man that actually doesn't believe that. Like, every single man will say they don't believe that, but do they?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you find out when you're
True
a porn
that.
star if they do believe that or not.
Exactly.
And I cannot tell you the crazy dates that I've been on. And I started waiting on the first date because I felt like if I had the chance of sleeping with somebody, I need to let them know about my partners. But there was that confusing part where it's like, but if you tell them that, then they're going to freak out.
But do you?
That's another thing that, like, I was constantly,
why?
it became like a thing. Like, when you first start going out with somebody
Civilians,
and they're civilian, that's what you call non-porn performing men. There was always this challenge of, like, when do I tell them? How do I tell them? How do they not already know? Do they already know and they're just hiding it? Are they a super fan?
Yeah.
Are they going to sell me on the black market on the third date? Like, just a lot of really weird experiences. And then, I met my husband, and I met him actually. I was being interviewed on a radio show where they mostly interviewed dominatrixes, and it was his first day, and it was my first time on the show, and we just clicked, and he legitimately has no issues with sex workers at all. He works with them every single day. It's just not like a thing.
I've noticed that too, like within
Yeah.
the industry, that a lot of people date within the industry, and that's what makes it easier.
Yes.
Because if you do, then you understand, you have an insight. It's not weird. It's not
Right.
you
But
know,
then there's that aspect of you're dating your
Yeah.
coworkers.
yeah, exactly.
The one thing that I was grateful for is that I knew I would be getting myself into that before I got in there, because I had prepared myself. I had thought through all of the things, and I knew that I was putting myself in a position where people were going to stigmatize me. Part of the reason I did it was because of that reason. So once I really came into my own as an artist and fashion and behind the camera, in front of the camera, it would give people like me a figure that they could be like, well, she did it. So that's what I needed when I was younger, is like, you know, somebody that I could be like, role model. And while it's kind of an odd occupation to go for, it definitely is like, if she can make this path, that means I can go on the same path, but make it even better.
We're different. It doesn't exactly have to be your same path, but it's like stepping out of what you're supposed to be, because you did come from a background that was a cookie cutter,
Right.
you know, image of how you were supposed to be. You went into an extreme. I think you're a role model that's like, I don't have to be exactly the way that you are, but I can be outside of this cookie cutter image that I'm supposed to be, and
Right.
be anything that I want to
And
be.
if I can do it,
you know?
then you can definitely do it.
Part of
So-
what makes you such
pretty
an
awesome.
original and refreshing person is the fact that you do own every step of your journey. And I think that's such a lesson for everyone
Yeah.
to learn.
Thanks.
I think is that we can't be like hiding behind the veil of our journeys and where we come from. Like, people fight their entire lives. They grow up poor. They don't want to be poor. And then they spend their whole lives feeling insecure about money. But yeah, like, you can spend your whole life just hiding from yourself. And instead, you have really decided to embrace those sides of yourself. And I
Right.
think that it really shows in the way that you kind of graciously transition through these different points in your life. And it makes you actually an incredibly resilient person at the end of the day.
To be incredibly cliche, like YOLO. You know, like,
but really,
really, like, it's really important to not pigeonhole yourself and not put yourself into this tiny little box where you can only be one thing, and you're going to limit your potential. We all have different facets of ourselves, and if you don't explore them, then like, what are you doing?
I'm inspired by you right now, you know, because I've had such an interesting background too, and things that I've done in my life and the way that I was raised and where my life took me and what my path was, where I've dated people who have made me feel ashamed of my past. And it's kind of like stuck with me, you know,
Right.
Like, there's a part of me that's like, don't be proud of that aspect of yourself. I think another thing that I do believe in is, if you come at what you're doing right now, like if you came on this and you were like ashamed of yourself, then
So
I would be
cute.
like, oh yeah, that is kind of shameful.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but because you're so, it's true because of how you approach it, because you are confident
Right.
and you're not second guessing yourself, then no one else can second guess
Right.
you know, because it's your life and it's how you portray it to people. And if there's nothing to be ashamed about, then there's nothing to be ashamed
Right.
about. It's really how you see yourself. And that's the thing, even knowing now I have things that I feel shameful that I carry with me because of a past relationship that I was in, I'm allowing that to run me. But if I can say, no, screw that. Like, I'm proud of what I've done. I'm proud of this. Then there's nothing to be questioned,
Right.
you know? So it's really
Or what is
admirable.
it? The Japanese have that technique with ceramic bowls that break, where instead of gluing it together just normally, they
Are
like fill it
stronger.
with gold.
Yeah.
So all the cracks, they're
Yeah.
like, the cracks make it more precious and like more beautiful
Yeah.
and strong.
Now you don't do porn anymore.
No, I don't. I decided to.
What happened?
Yeah. Not as bad as the living statue bit. So that's good.
Yeah.
Well, after
Let's-
after my mom passed, it kind of like messed me up, and I wasn't really open to physical intimacy from people I didn't know that well. That's really it. Like, I loved everybody that I was working with. They're all great people. I had such a good experience, but I also didn't want to put myself in a position where I wasn't enthusiastic on set, because that's essentially raping myself and making other people help out in that.
It changes you. I lost my mom to
I'm
cancer
sorry.
too. So I was in a relationship. I was married, you know, and at that time it was like, it like separated my relationship, because that person was very supportive and there
Yeah.
with me throughout the entire time. But I was emotionally unavailable. It's like I didn't have the space to do both of these things. It fucks
Yeah.
with you.
And there's no right way. There's no
Yeah.
right way.
If I were in your shoes, I would have definitely done the same thing. So then you were like, I don't want to be touched right now. I don't want to be in
Yeah.
like, this isn't authentic to me right now.
You know, now I'm in this partnership where I think if I just like sprang like I want to go back into porn, it would be really weird. Not that I do, but like it would be a few discussions. Just like it's a change of lifestyle. But I also like I just haven't felt the desire or need. I think it was a very specific time in my life, and I needed to learn some lessons, and I did, and they were great. And then that was it. Then I was like, okay, I think I healed a lot of my intimacy issues, and then that's what I was there for. Like, and I know a lot of women struggle, and like just people in general, performers struggle leaving the industry because it sets you up on this very high. Like when you're in the industry, while I love it, I also recognize they put you up on a pedestal and give you a bunch of money, and it makes it very difficult to leave because a lot of people are not taught how to use their money correctly. So you run out of money. It's very weird not getting the same level of attention. Like the first maybe 6 months after I left, I was like, I guess I'm irrelevant in the world, because it's like people who live in New York, where like New York is the only place that exists, you know? Like when you're in porn is the only thing that exists. And it was a very weird experience, but now I realize like it was actually a very good time for me to disconnect with that career choice and lifestyle, because I was getting completely wrapped up in it, and I needed to like humble myself. And I needed to follow my personal truth as opposed to the hype and craziness of being in like the public eye in that way.
Well, I mean, it's been really awesome talking to you about all of this, because, you know, I think that the one thing that stands out to me is, you know, how authentic you are and have been to yourself and your desires. And I think that our listeners can learn a lot from you, because even I have.
You.
Thanks, Olive.
Thank you both for having me.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
I'm so glad to have done this.
You're awesome.
You can find Olive on Twitter and Instagram at GlassOlive. You can also find her on her brand new website at officialglassolive.com. Please donate to her organization at ChariotHeartFoundation.org, and you can find them on Instagram at ChariotHeartFoundation.
Please follow us on our social medias. You can find me, Sada, at SADASIMONE.
And you can find me, Kimmy, at King Cleo. That's King Klio, and at KingCleo.com.
Thanks for not sucking, guys. We love you.